we fortunately already covered. So you know how it goes, man.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the tall, dark, handsome one, the one that ladies have nicknamed Sexual Chocolate. Victor Allen's new Sportz, his own deep insight into sports today. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Here's Vick.
You know, you guys, I know you didn't wait for this sports segment because you want to hear the stories about Mario Hemsley hanging out with George Clinton at the Speakeasy. Okay. He will deny it, and I probably am.
He kept asking me to
a little lie.
Well, Vic, I have to lie, he kept asking me to smell his finger.
Like I said, welcome to New Sports. We're going to sit back and continue moving forward and work on the one subject that probably hasn't been covered as much is because we've been dwarfed by the Penn State scandal. And, of course, we want to pay homage to Joe Frazier because you need to have all the time you can as he moves on to that greener pasture. But, you know, yesterday, Mario, we had a Monday night football game, and, you know, the Philadelphia fans, I don't know who's crazier. The Oakland Raider fans or the Philadelphia fans?
That's close.
This is close.
And you notice that's separate sides of the country.
That's right.
So it means it can't just be the DNA.
No, it's not the DNA.
It can't just be the DNA.
And it may not be the food. It may be the helmet size and everything else. But before we go there, because Philadelphia got smacked in the mouth and it got hit hard. And so what I want to find out is a team that's 3-5 in their division and basically looking uphill, that basically they have to go undefeated probably to make the playoffs. Now, there's some chances here that some other teams can falter and run into these streaks because we're getting surprises week to week. But right now, when you're 3-5 and you lose at home and you lose to the Chicago Bears, my question is, did Michael Vick's Eagles' loss to the Bears expose the real weakness of Philadelphia? Is it Jay Cutler or a terrible defensive scheme, players, coaches, or all the above? What do you think, Mario?
Just to let down. You know what's interesting is that the offense didn't get going well either at first. It took a minute for okay, first of all, you got to give props to Chicago because to me, they really have been stepping up their game. By that I mean, Vic, in the last 3 games, the amount of sacks kind of gone down dramatically for them.
Yep.
So all of a sudden they're not sacking Cutler as much.
True, he's using his legs.
And I have to give it to him. To me, Vic, he always did take it better than most. Because I would have been complaining more than he was complaining.
Yes.
So let's give it to that. But you know what, Vic, I have to give it to just what Chicago looks like right now. Because, didn't you think when Marion Barber came in to give Matt Forte a break even?
Right.
Wow, it just made you stop and think for a minute how they had solidified a few things there,
Yeah. I think Marion Barber is doing exactly what Chicago expected, to be a bruising back that can come in and get those hard, painful yards. I think he's made for that.
And coming after Forte, what a 1-2 punch.
Right. See, I'm not questioning their offense. They got it together. Jay has been able to know how to move around out of the pocket now and sit there waiting for that 7-step drop and then go, okay, protect me, protect me. The line has gotten better. They focused on some changes. He looks improved, and it looked like the Jay Cutler show more so than Michael Vick. That's not my issue because Michael Vick, one thing that works, every time he gets turnovers, their team tends to get close to losing. They give up points or they give up possession time, and possession time is when you turn the ball over. That's not my question. When you watch the announcers and listen to the game plan yesterday, did you not think at the beginning of the game that they were running like roughshod over that defensive line? You can't even name...
They did run like roughshod.
They did, but let me ask you this. Watch this.
The first possession...
The first drive.
Matt Forte,
continuing.
Yeah, no. That's an ongoing thing with Philadelphia. Their defense, it's an ongoing thing.
Right.
Even though Vic, to me, this game just represents... Again, I would not panic as a Philadelphia fan. You might as well not panic.
I'll panic.
Well, I'm just saying it's the same problems.
Right.
They're known problems, and I think that day they just didn't have a good day, kind of, to me. They want in other words, the offense. There were some drop passes again.
Right.
There were some things that just didn't, and they were really slow to get certain things going the way they wanted to, even though they would still have those flashes of brilliance, like in the running attack. But Vic, it was just a better team that day with Chicago.
I was listening to John Gruden go like, this is like a preseason, not a preseason scrimmage. I don't want to take the words out of context. He says they're not even getting the linebackers to touch the running back. It's that bad. In other words, can you name a linebacker on the Philadelphia Eagles? Because you know your name is made by the brand. It's like T Sizzle on the Ravens. When you realize you can't even account for some linebackers that were making an impact on Philadelphia. Now, let me just say this. Before I go in and say what's happening, I think what the announcers or broadcasters were saying, the scheme against the Chicago Bears was poor. Because they were going, how are they adjusting to this? Put your men up front to stop that run, because that run is smashing you. And exposing your defensive players. Asante Samuel's injured. Asamoah still is trying to learn the man-up thing because he comes from a zone area. So there's a learning thing. But if you go look at Philadelphia the previous week, everybody came in saying they got their stride back and they're the most talented offensive team. Didn't see that yesterday because Chicago was strong and they match up well. My problem is I think the defensive scheme on Philadelphia got outplayed. And I'm looking at it and going, this is kind of so obvious that there's no adjustments being made.
You know, I don't know if it was a scheme issue because they looked like they were getting so outplayed in terms of just hitting and everything, Vic. So I don't know when they're hitting like that or not hitting like that.
Right.
I don't know if it's a scheme issue because you're just on a man-to-man basis, not making.
Well, I'm saying that when you actually have to man up against the rush, you actually want to stop the bleeding a little bit. So you have the first half, and the first half comes in. You go to halftime. He says, they're gaining 5 to 6 yards per carry. How do we stop and adjust? And he says, maybe we don't have the talent to do it. So they come out in the second half, and I said, they don't really need Jay Cutler to throw the ball. They just can hand it off to the running backs. At what point do you adjust to the running back crush? I call it the crush where they get back there and your linebackers can't get to it.
Let's ask Irvin Foster.
You know what?
Irvin?
You're just wrong, man.
Are you there?
So they're calling during the show.
That's what I wanted to say. If you're going to call during the show, we're going to put your ass on the speaker.
Okay, that's not right. Yeah, I just see that's okay.
Embarrassing. No, because we will put you on.
Wait,
I was going to say, I looked over there. See, the question is whether I turn off the phone or leave it up for certain people. And, so that was Irvin Foster. I was going to ask him what he thought about the game.
Well, I'll say this. I want you guys to understand this. I understand that their TV guide is old school. I understand that there's a projects going down. And I understand that you know what time you want to do certain things. But I'm amazed at our close associates, and we joke about this all the time, that we've been doing this for so long, and they continue to call right during the show broadcast. So we laugh and say, we are going to put you on the phone when you call. That's our way of supporting you to go into social media. But let me get back to the question at hand. I just have these questions. You tell me whether any of them are appropriate. If not, Mars, no big deal. But I think they're saying they are not worried about the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm saying you are worried. You have to almost go 7-1 to make the playoffs. So you better hope none of the teams ahead of you get into a winning streak.
Okay, when I say worried, to me, that's because I assume you know what you are.
Yes.
So you shouldn't be worried. You're not a championship team.
Right. But
so if you're worried that you're not a championship team, you might get over that worry.
Forget about the championship team.
Oh, you mean about playing in the playoffs?
Right. I think the part that everybody's shocked at, did you expect when the first 8 games that they will be 3-5? Starting at the beginning of the season, nobody saw that.
No,
right?
But here's the thing, too. If this team were to squeeze into the playoffs, they're not going to perform in the playoffs.
Well, see, this is why I want
to they're not a playoff caliber.
Right. And so, which I'll say this. Let's just get the choices here, which something has to be adjusted.
Okay.
I'm going to say this.
All right.
Will the Philadelphia Eagles make the playoffs, miss the playoffs, fire or change defensive coach positions, waive one or more defensive players? Something is going to happen. When you get up to playoffs, they're constantly, and I've watched this before behind the scenes, they said, we have people on board who do nothing but to plug and adjust to cap weaknesses in what we do. They are on it all the time. With that being said, let's just say this is a fluke. Let's just say the Chicago Bears was a fluke and they get ready to move forward. I'm saying, so since Philadelphia is up and down, win a game, lose 4 in a row. Win a game, lose another game. I said, so what assurity does anybody have that they're going to go 7-1? I said, well, something has to change. I say that some defensive coaching positions have to change. Why? Your defensive coach comes from an offensive background. So is he capable of adjusting week to week? From last week, they were like unbelievable. To this week, it looked like they were a junior college team. Which one do you think it is, Mark?
You know, again, because I don't see that kind of a breakdown. Okay, to me, no matter what scheme you run,
right,
as a modern defensive team, no matter what scheme, it should look better than that. See, that's what I'm saying. So that's so poor.
Yes.
I can't say it's a scheme issue. I have to look at personnel. Now, here's the thing: the personnel thing has been ongoing. Now, Vic, I'm not an insider,
right?
And there are coaches who do really well with good personnel,
yes,
but not so well with less than. But then there's other coaches who do really well with who can handle more tough. It depends on the coach. Sometimes you have a coach who's good with good people,
right,
but you don't have a coach who's good with bad people.
I agree.
So, and and I don't even know. And if you always have good people, then which coach do you get? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that's a different business kind of decision. Anyway,
right.
So my point being, I think that looks so much like a manpower issue, Vic,
right,
that I really have trouble thinking it's a coaching thing. And I have to look at their commitment as an organization to building defense. Now, because we all know in the offseason they added defensive backs. They didn't add linebackers.
No.
So they should have known they had a linebacker issue, right?
Right.
And they had one last year.
And they added on their line as well. So there's some places where they plugged in where you're getting to see performances. See, I think what has happened is similar to what Chicago went through. In the beginning of the first 2 or 3 games, everybody was talking about how bad that offensive line protection was, and Jay Cutler even went to the mat to say, I can't survive the rest of the season, which means adjustments. And when you make adjustments, you could see it pay off right now. They've paid off.
Well, sometimes you can or can't. You can make a trade or not get the people.
Right, and I think they worked with their people.
Well, you know that the big thing about Philadelphia is that their offensive line and their whole offense is working so much better. That's what everybody's loving. Everybody's talking about the offensive mud, the coach.
Yes.
But, so obviously, why do I say that again? I get back to, isn't it interesting how some teams just are never committed to defense?
I agree.
Just never are.
I agree.
Just never have a top defense.
And I think you can make immediate changes if you want to. Most people don't like it because it's a trickle down.
Andy Reid,
look at. Will we ever admit that Michael Singletary is not a great coach?
Yeah, I admitted it a long time ago. I like him, but I feel like
right. How can
Magic was terrible. I mean, Jerry West was not good at it.
Right. Jim Harbaugh comes into San Francisco and turns them into a 7-1 team who is now considered the second or first best NFC team. So to me, the part is if you pull the plug, you just can't pull it. You got to be able to point out where the bleeding is.
You have to hold it, Vic. When it goes over years, to me, you have to hold the head. In other words, I hold Andy Reid accountable for that in the same way I hold Lovie Smith accountable for the Chicago offense.
Yeah.
Even if you do go out and get, like he did, Mike Marks or whoever, to be a coach, you still got to make the commitment on personnel level.
Right.
The Eagles don't have it on the personnel level, but they acquired more defensive backs in the offseason.
I agree.
Okay, so their goal was to be, obviously that's what they said.
Right.
We're going to be tough to throw against, but, we're going to have defensive backs making tackles a lot.
Oh, dude, the idea that they were looking at schemes where they were talking about broken assignments and everything. I said, that comes from preparation. Yeah. And the preparation to me, and Mario, I don't know, you know this better than I do. When you're a defensive coach and your background is a defensive coach, you come from a mentality that's totally different than an offensive line coach.
Vic, I don't know this. Vic, I refuse to take an opinion based on the theoretical with that.
Well, you take Herman Cain?
No, because you know what? I tried to look and I only got a little bit of distance. But they said that the guy's credentials are that he's supposed to be such a top. I don't know the guy. I just tell you what I heard. I haven't been able to back it up.
I agree.
They said the guy's credentials were such that he was such a solid coach,
offensive coach,
just a coach in general. Because remember now, what they call you has a lot to do with what you've done recently.
Right.
A lot of these guys were head coaches in high school or head coaches in college. So and I don't know this. I'm just telling you what they were saying, at least to be verified to me, was that the guy, and I can't remember his name, his credentials were such that he was known to be really an excellent coach, period.
Right.
And that it was felt that he could coach different aspects of the game.
I know.
Because he had a history where he had coached it. That's what I was exposed to. But I have had no time to verify that.
But he made his name in the NFL on the offensive coaching side. But when you get brought into an organization where they say, we're not bringing you in because of your history in an NFL, we're actually bringing you in to do something else.
No, what they said was we brought in someone who brings excellence.
Yeah.
And that's what they said.
I know.
And so I understand that, and especially from the context again,
it's transferable.
That a bunch of people that are head coaches, some of them were special teams coaches.
Right.
Some of them, so I don't know that, and that's an insider thing. I don't know about your ability to coach offense, defense, special teams, but I know in the NFL people do move around.
It's transferable.
Not a ton, but they do some, because especially from special teams to like defense or from special teams, because sometimes that's the job you get coming up.
Right.
You just get special teams.
And you got coaches who actually call both sides of the play. You can get a Belichick who says, I know offense, I know defense. You know Andy Reid, he knows his offense, he knows his defense. I just think when they had to make adjustments, what I saw yesterday was either two things. They're taking for granted that they was going to win this game because they say it's Jay Cutler. I think that's one of the things they probably thought. If not, I said it was so bad that I said, look, I'm not a person who sits there and micromanage a game. I'm going 6 yards rushing, 7 yards rushing,
I don't know
6 yards rushing.
I don't know what adjustments you make when you're getting outrun and out hit.
You move some of the linebackers or people up to the line. If you're in a 4-3 or 3-4 and you go, we're going to stay in the same position.
If they're not going to tackle, what difference does it make? See, my thing is, what I observed was people being outrun and out hit. To me, again, I don't know.
Poor tackling, too.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know that any scheme adjustment fixes that.
Right.
I mean, you could do all that, but if you're moving the same non-tackling linebacker from this position to another one, then I don't know that makes any difference.
Yeah.
It may, but it didn't, and
they stayed,
and that's been the way they've been for a while.
Yeah, they stayed like we're staying exactly with the same thing all game long.
So that's the way they've been.
That's bad. To me, that's just poor coaching. To me, I don't see any adjustments for what they're doing. It's almost like you guys are saying, just keep relying on the same guys. And I said, okay, no problem. You guys got it.
Yeah, like I said, to me, that's a personnel issue on that level.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think it makes a difference. You switch to a 5-man front.
Right.
If they're not going to tackle, they're going to be blocked. And beat all the time.
Then that may be it.
And they were because that's what was happening on the first season. You see the linemen; they were moving them out. They were moving them out.
I'm going. They need help.
Well, I'm help new people who can't be moved out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So what's going to happen here is this: we're looking at this. We're both probably saying no one's going to get waived, and no one's going to get fired. It's either make the playoffs or miss the playoffs. And I'm inclined
on a coaching level, probably not, but on a personnel level, you would hope so. That's, in other words, Vic,
I know
they could try during the offseason to get some people.
They spend a lot of money.
Not on defensive, not on linebackers.
Asamoah, they spend some money.
Backs.
Right. They got some money. The problem is will they have enough to make a change? I'll say this without anything else. I just think they're not going to make the playoffs.
I don't either. But even if they do make the playoffs, they're not capable of doing anything in the playoffs. So to me, I go like, okay, let's say you make the playoffs.
Right.
Then how far are you going to go?
Right.
Not far.
Right.
So you don't have a good enough team.
Okay.
So I go like, okay, how can you change that? You can't. You're stuck. You can just try to do the best performance you can with the lackluster, motley crew that you have.
Right.
Till you can draft, trade, or get you some down linemen and some linebackers.
Right. I know. All right. I got it. Let me go.
So in other words, I'm saying
I got it.
It's written.
I know. I absolutely. I just put the positions up of what's going to happen. I think right now that people are sitting there, and I can see ownership going, okay, maybe not the best NFC team. Maybe we're 2 or 3 games above 500. We're 3-5. We're the worst in this division based on my investment and money into what you guys are supposed to deliver. You can tell me all the things that's possibly happening, but something needs to take place.
Listen, here's the thing. There's the New York Giants, and then everybody else is going to be in a big lump. It's going to be, I mean, you got Philly, Washington.
Yeah. I think the man upstairs is going like this. You can tell me all the possibilities, but you got to tell me the solutions right away, and it got to be done by next week.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen.
See, that's
and anybody who makes it from that division,
right,
other than New York, has what chance anyway? Yeah. Dallas, Washington, Philadelphia are gonna be in a little clump at the bottom, and that'll be the shocker for a while.
That's right, and you lose. If you lost on the road, it would be different. But you lost at home.
I've already bought into that. See, that's the part where I go like, I've already looked forward from them.
Yeah.
Now going, don't look for any of that.
No.
Let's look now and talk about New York Giants, San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
Let's,
Interconference record is going to dictate a lot of this. You lose more games. You can afford to lose games outside your conference, but when you lose them within your conference and you're 3 or 4 games behind, you got some bleeding to stop immediately. It goes to the next game. Okay, we know I got to go into what we call just a quotable from the Penn State stuff because we covered it pretty good. But I want to just remind people of the figures that are really probably more prominent outside of Jerry Sandusky. It's Joe Paterno and, of course, Mike McCreary. Now, we've already covered exactly what has happened as it relates to all the details, and everybody's waiting to get what they call the official word and all the data and documentation. But I just have these words coming from the state police commissioner, who I thought probably wrapped it up in such a way to say, is this a kind of a wrapping that this is it, it's black or white? He said, State Police Commissioner Frank Noonan says somebody has to question about what I would consider the moral requirements for a human being that knows of sexual things that are taking place with a child. He added that means anyone, whether you're a football coach or a university president or the guy sweeping the building, I think you have a moral responsibility to call us. Mark, here's the part. If Joe Paterno or any one of the guys said, I'm going to the police first, the only thing they would have been guilty of is you didn't follow the protocol, but you did the best thing. Or did you not follow you did not follow the protocol, you have severely made the situation worse. The police said, please call us. What do you think Noonan means? Do you agree with the statement?
My thing is, only they know what was their intent.
Yeah.
See, to me, is your intention is supposed to try to help the victim.
Right.
And if your intention is not to help the victim, then either way, you know where you fall. And that's something that only you can know.
Right.
In your heart.
Right.
What your intent was. Now, and when it comes to this is when I quote Dante. And you've heard me say this quote on other shows. Mm-hmm. And it's a quote by Dante, and the quote is, the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who in a time of great moral crisis maintain their neutrality.
Yes.
So when if you're one of the people, I didn't see this, or you just walk a little faster, or refuse to help, or even scream, you can't. I mean, it's one thing to see somebody being attacked and feel like you can't physically intervene, but you can run for help.
Yes.
You can go screaming, help, help, somebody, please help.
Yes.
I mean, everybody ain't Superman, but that's why I quote Dante, the hottest places in hell.
Right.
Because there are those people who, when everything's going terrible, maintain their neutrality.
Right.
I'm not in this. It's the state doing this. It's the government.
Right.
I don't know what they're killing all the Jews, but I don't have anything to do with it.
Right.
They're massacring all the Hutus and the Tutsi, and I have nothing to do with it. I'm not in it.
Right.
Well, you are in it.
Yes. Very much so. And really, look, I'm not shedding any light on something you don't already know. I just wrap it around, is it just this simple? I said, did the following individuals, because we know who they are and I'll say the names, did the following individuals go out their way to protect the child or the children? And the names I have here are Joe Paterno, he's the coach, Penn State. Jerry Sandusky, who's the one who's indicted for it. Mike McCreary, the current receivers coach, reported Sandusky's sexual encounter to Paterno. Just because you reported it, you stopped there, right? Didn't go any further. Now here goes the next.
Because you have a whole career. And I know it put you in a bad position.
Right.
But you still have to do something. It's a moral crisis.
And we're going down to Gary Schultz, former senior VP, charged with perjury. Tim Curley, athletics director, gone, charged with perjury. And the person who I sat there and said, I think you got really comfortable in your chair when Graham Spanier, Penn State president, approved the handling of Tim Curley and Gary Schultz. The handling. They're referring to what was reported to him, how he handled dealing with them.
Exactly.
I said, don't you think they're going to serve him up?
No, let me tell you something else, Vic. We're assuming that they wrestled with these decisions.
Right.
And what it really looks like is that they didn't wrestle with none of this.
Not at all.
See, the part of me goes like, I know, what if you were worried about your job and stressing the kids, my wife, what am I going to do in my house? See, but what happens is, that's my imagination. When you start looking closer, it doesn't look like they were worried about any damn thing.
No.
Nothing.
No.
See, and I'm worried, well, maybe they felt like, oh, what can I, because you could have legitimate fears that at least make you pause.
Right.
You still need to do the right thing.
Right.
But you can have fear that makes you pause. Right. I don't think they had any fear.
I think they
just went right along with it. I did my part. Now let's go back. I want to get them receivers because you could get go long, go long. Okay, let's go get a pizza.
Right, and
that's what I think they did.
And the person at the top, we call it the person who sits in that comfortable chair, saying, "Look, I got this because I've been the president of this university. This is Penn State. You know what Penn State stands for? It stands for Pennsylvania, not just a football program." And so, to me, when I look at what he's doing, I said, so when it comes to the moral value, 1 to 10, did all of you guys hit the moral responsibility? All of you guys have failed. There is no 1 or 2, 0. It's the idea that somebody didn't pull the urgency button. I can see myself sitting here going like, you think the last thing I'm worried about when I see an act like that with a child, I go to the police, and the last thing I'm worried about is your ass telling me, you didn't go to the president of the university first. And I said, and what do you want me to do? Sit back and wait for you to go call the police so it can be more official? I'm going to go right to the pain. If I can't stop them, I have to go to people who know how to handle this. A president of a university doesn't know what the hell to do about molestation or child abuse. So the idea that the protocol goes in this hat,
they
need to wear a hat that's a little bit tighter.
You don't have to be a university. See, to me, it has nothing to do with your position. What are you supposed to do as regular Joe Blow citizen?
Right. I know.
Person of the world. Citizen of the world.
Right.
Citizen of the universe. What do you supposed to scream, stop that, I'm calling the police.
Right.
You yell at them, you try to intervene if you can, and you go for the authorities.
Yes. I know. It's the part where you go like, what's the pain and punishment? I want to see what the doctrine is when they say, this is what happens when you don't report to the president what you actually saw as an act of molestation. Let me tell you why. Because there's probably nothing there that says, here's the protocol of that. And you guys have never handled it before. So you just did what they call, I just do enough. But I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to go over here. But all I want to do is follow what I call a good subject, a great subject. He's gone to greener pastures. I just want to show you the pictures, dude. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
You got to celebrate them because when they're young like that,
I love
look at Muhammad, look at Joe Frazier.
I love this, man. I sit there and go, that left hook.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Father, for them.
Here's the part, Mark. The part I said, Joe Frazier, even though they've had it for decades, was the best come at you bob and weave with the left. I've never seen nobody ever did how he did it.
That small and be relentless like that.
Oh, no.
Man.
The part that I miss is that I'm so busy watching George Foreman's and Muhammad Ali's and Joe Louis. Hook. But he had this come into you bob and weave coming left. And no matter how much you knew about it, it was coming. So I had to go show this picture. This is not a recap of the story you already know. I just love that picture at the bottom.
Yes, my friend. That's worth it.
That's the one. That's the one you want. That's the one you want. I know.
Joe Frazier.
That's it.
Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord, for them.
Thank you. That's all I want to do is pay my moment. But I'm going to go to Do You Believe? We only have one exit. Do You Believe? And I just personally like this Do You Believe? And when you see this picture, you go, there goes Terrell Suggs, 5'5", the Ravens. That barbarian who's called T-Sizzle. All I want to know is, do you believe Baltimore Ravens linebacker Terrell Suggs, T-Sizzle, has the best pregame catchphrase intro? Terrell Suggs, ball so hard university. I love that saying. I'm going, who can top that one? Ball
I
so
got
hard.
one. I got one.
Okay.
I don't want to mess up the sheet.
Oh, no, man. Keep it professional. Come on, man.
I'm just saying, if you're going to say Terrell Suggs, ball so hard, what am I going to say? Do you need me really? Do you really need me? Like the lot time. Do you really need for me?
No, Mark. No.
But you know how I would say it? I say, Marl Hemsley, beep so hard university.
That's wrong.
How's that?
No, you know what?
Ball, you made me ball.
That's wrong.
But I'm the staff.
We have to go. We got to go get your meds, man. We got to get your meds. This is my tribute to Ball So Hard University. Out of all the intros, people will use their high school, they will use their junior college, or they you say something else. But man, when he says T-Sizzle, Ball So Hard University, and he's on the Ravens, and he's a linebacker, his time has come. That means a lot more, man. That's what I'm saying.
I see how hard your balls are if my helmet hits them.
All right, you got him done for
Victor Allen.
Sports, man.
New Sports. There he is. Victor Allen's unique insight into today's world of sport. Hot, sexy. That's right. And you've enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the download.